Good evening, everybody. We're going to call the meeting to order. We're going on to the approval of the agenda. The agenda of the regular council meeting held November 24, 2025, be approved as presented. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
Second.
Thank you. Comments or questions, please? Call a vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Does any member have pecuniary interest to declare? And if so, what is the general nature of that interest? No declaration, so we'll move on to 4, public question period to council. The public question period is an opportunity for residents to ask questions direct to council regarding items on the agenda only. Questions asked during this session will be considered by council during the item on the agenda as it pertains to. Does any member of the public have a question regarding item on agenda for council? None. Do we have any electronic ones? No. We'll move on to motion for consideration of the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Merrickville-Wolford. Receive for information the motions for consideration document as presented. May I have a mover, please?
Move.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
Second.
Seconded. Comments or questions? Members? No comments, no questions. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and no longer require further discussion and are enacted in one motion. The exception to this rule is that a member may request that one or more items be pulled for discussion and voted on separately. Does any member wish to separate any item on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Go ahead, Council.
6.4, 1 and 2, the two bylaws. Since we have a bylaw section 9, I think we should, for transparency, have those as a separate discussion.
That was 6.41.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Any other? Certain council members? No. Okay, so we're going to pull that. So we're going to consider all except for 6.41 and 2. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move.
And a seconder, please? Thank you. Any comments or questions? None? Call the vote. All in favor? Carried. So we'll consider 6.4.1, 2 and 2 at this moment. Clerk, as I don't have it in my notes, could you read it out so that everybody understands what we're discussing?
Yes, so we will consider item 6.4.1, so that's the roads classification bylaw. So we'll need a mover and a seconder to give first, second, third, and final reading.
Okay, may I have a mover, please? Moved. Seconder, please. Thank you.
Sorry.
Moved and seconded.
Sorry, I'll take it. Yep, next time.
So the motion is now on the floor for discussion. Any discussion with council? Go ahead, Councilor.
I don't have any issue with it. I just wanted it to be a standalone bylaw item for transparency, so the observers can all understand what it's all about. And if we could have staff just give a quick summary of the reason why this bylaw is being updated.
Ms. Plumley?
Well, it's the fire bylaw you're requesting.
This is the roads classification.
Let John speak to that.
So it's the outline, basically what it has done is taken every road in the township and put a classification to it, and that's based on the traffic, the surface. And then there's notes for every road. So basically what it is, it's having all that information in one document. It's not changing any of the minimum maintenance standards where a previous bylaw or previous policy, I think it was a fire law, that had indicated the minimum maintenance standards. So that is still going to be maintained for all the roads. It's just putting it all together in one document.
Okay, thank you.
So understanding it's still under the provision, under the general minimum maintenance standards under the provincial jurisdiction.
Yes, Ontario regulation. And I guess just to add to that, so that Ontario regulation, as I noted when we brought it to committee of the whole, so that potentially could change or could get updated every 5 to 10 years. We don't really know. So as that happens, then we would just update that bylaw. Just so the minimum maintenance standards, I guess, were one of the biggest things to outline the classification of a road, depending on how much snow falls. Then there's a chart to indicate how long it takes the public works departments and any municipality to clear that snow. So if those hours or those guidelines change slightly, then we would update that bylaw accordingly, just so we're all working toward the most recent regulation. And then obviously we would let council know, like if there's any update. But the goal is that, you know, if that changes, then we would still update council, and it's just kind of a side note to that.
So we're following provincial directive. Any other questions from members? Good. Deputy Mayor, no. 642, clerk, could you please?
So we'll have to call the vote on
Oh, yeah.
6.4.1.
Thank you, clerk. So if there's no further questions, we'll call the vote. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Clerk, 64.2, please.
So this is the open air burn bylaw. And again, the motion is that council give first, second, third, and final reading and pass the open air bylaw for the village.
Okay. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move.
Thank you. And a seconder, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from members? Go ahead, Councilor.
Similarly, could we have staff give a summary of the reason for the updates to this bylaw?
Ms. Plumley?
Please.
Yep, through your worship, what I did was, we're just cleaning it up and, enhancing public safety within this, protecting air quality and promoting safe burning. I can highlight the points that we've added to it. It's the, air curtain box monitoring and the regulations around that, because we previously didn't have it. And, we did run into an instance where one was used in the municipality and I didn't have any way of governing it, so that's been added in. We've tidied up the agricultural and land clearing, just so it's a little more defined. We've also added in more definitions, just so people are aware of that. We've added in the campground burning, just to protect ourselves with the campground in town, so that whoever's managing the campground, it's their responsibility to make sure all the campers are safely burning and following the bylaw, instead of having to do all separate ones. We've also added in the subdivisions to the rural density issues we were having. So in Jasper, Merrickville East Corners, it's not permitted to have a burn barrel or a large brush fire in the dense areas. We've added in the subdivisions as well, the estates and stuff, and that was prompted off of several complaints and that sort of stuff over the years. And I think that's about all that we've really added, aside from just really defining the other stuff, the brush burning, the campfires, all that sort of stuff, and just put more definitions down and explained it better to the people that are get a permit. The other thing I had mentioned is we're going to bring a report to council in December to look at one separating the two burns. So one would be for a burn permit for campfires and that sort of stuff. And there'll be a separate one for agricultural. It's not going to change anything other than it'll let us define within the system as to what we're possibly responding to if it gets out of control. And the potential to have a revenue neutral system where we would charge $10 per permit for the duration of the year to cover the cost of residents calling in to see what the burn rating is, or to actually get their burn permit. It would cost us or the app program.
Okay, any further questions? Go ahead, Councilor.
Something I missed at the committee of the whole on my first glance at bylaw, section 9 dealing with agricultural burns. It calls for a 3-day period where the chief would have 3 days to inspect before lighting the fire. And I think that's a new item from previous, and I don't think that's really in our best interest to given conditions where might be ideal for doing a burn and then having to wait, and potentially conditions not being ideal with the wind in the wrong direction or something like that. So I would rather see more leniency given to farm and agricultural type burns. So I'm going to suggest to council that we ask to have that section pulled out.
Okay, any further comment, questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
In the case of that inspection, Is that something you do for every burn or each property?
Through your worship, no, it was specific to agricultural, burns, and just because of the size of it. It doesn't prompt an on-site inspection. It can be an on-site inspection or just a discussion or phone call with whoever's having the agricultural burn. And it's more focused, on the contractors who sometimes get hired to do that. They tend to not follow the regulations and we end up with bigger issues. So that was kind of what it was more pertaining to. Most of the agricultural burns we do have, we know where they are and everybody's good to call in and they generally almost all personally call me just to let me know where it is. But this was just another provision in here to give us a bit of a chance to at least discuss where the fire was gonna be. Because the other thing we have issues with is we don't, as everybody's aware, most fields don't have a rural number or anything like that, so it's a little harder to find. So this just gives us a chance to kind of define where that field is. And we make our firefighters aware of where the burning is taking place. So we know if we do have to respond to something, how to get there, because most fields don't have a rural number.
Any other comments or questions?
I think given the nature of the inspection is occasional and special cases, I'm comfortable leaving that clause in. If it helps with the folks that are doing a burn that don't know us very well, or we don't know them. My thoughts.
Yeah. I think Councillor Durrell had her hand.
Actually,
Go ahead, Councillor Mayo.
Councillor.
The only thing I'll add to that is when we're getting an ag specific burn permit, that will give you an opportunity to reach out and communicate it. And if we have it in here that you have to have 3 business days, I'm not gonna say issue with it, but if you're away on vacation, then we're relying on volunteers to be responding to that before, or either that or holding contractors up.
Yeah, no, through your worship, yeah, no, I do have to have somebody, as a designate if I am away and that person is made aware that they have to respond immediately to stuff. Now my assistant, Jenny, she monitors daily any permit requests that come in. We keep track of that, constantly. And it comes in even to my phone on weekends, that kind of stuff too. So we would be able to respond pretty much immediately, but, and like I said, most of it would just be a phone call. Just to double check where it was, just so we were aware, but, I do understand your concern with the potential of 3 days, but I don't ever foresee that happening.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
I'm not hearing a really compelling reason to put that restriction in there, so I'm gonna suggest that we give staff direction to remove it. So I can get some show of hands and support, we can do that.
Okay, so how do we do that? So that we're following per se rule of the law here. Do we need to put an amendment on board and call for a mover and a seconder?
I would suggest if Councillor Isling wants the amendment to the bylaw to do a motion to amend. And we'd have to figure out the specific wording of that section to remove from the bylaw.
So I would suggest taking it away rather than trying to figure out the amendment now, and I don't think there's any urgency to approving this either, so. Bring it back to the next committee of the whole.
So might I suggest, and perhaps it might be in council's interest to defer the item and move it back to our next committee of the whole for further discussion? Is there appetite for council to alleviate some of the concerns from members to have it for a further discussion at a future committee of the whole, rather than rush it through and make an amendment that may or may not be in the best interest of all? Go ahead,
I
Council.
actually wouldn't mind seeing a red line version of this, because there seems like there's a lot of changes from previous, and it'd be a lot easier for the public and for us to understand what parts are actually being changed. Because there's probably 6 or more changes to this one than the previous one. They just lay it out a lot cleaner and tidier for us.
Thanks for that reminder. I think if memory serves, I think that was something that council had asked for Ms. Plumley, that when we were looking at, items that had a few more changes than normal, that a red line, version be supplied to an agenda so that not only council, but, the public understands
Just to show what's
the
being changed.
changes.
I'd like to suggest too, if we're going to have another look at it, we put or designate, when it says fire chief or designate, and then if he isn't here, there's when someone designate them. Or is there in there already?
I just double checked, it does say in the definition.
Okay, good.
In the
Definition?
bylaw,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
but we can.
Yeah. As
So.
long as it's in the definitions, that's all that matters.
Okay, so is there any appetite for a deferral, or did you want to, is council wanting to go ahead with trying to script an amendment at this moment in time? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
We would have to decide as a council that we want it amended. We haven't decided that yet.
You know, that's what we're trying to figure out. Your staff has sort of indicated a couple of different directions. It's been suggested as an amendment, and it's been suggested as a red line item. And I think I recall that that was a request some time ago. So just seeing what the appetite is before we move forward. Go ahead, Councillor.
If I may, I'd go ahead and make a motion to refer this to the committee of the whole with the instructions to provide the red line version and renewal of the 3 days of waiting period.
Okay. So perhaps it may be better served if we leave it as is, and we can discuss that at the committee of the whole, whether or not the removal of anything or the adjustment of anything would
We could do
be.
that, as long as we have the red line to.
So we leave,
Yeah.
we leave the document intact and we get a red line version, then we can discuss it as a whole committee, at the committee of a whole, for further discussion to see how we'd like to script that or manage that document. Is everyone comfortable with that?
Okay.
And clerk, what will we need to do? Just
So I have a
deferred.
Councillor Ireland's willing to move. The item 6.4.2 being the open air burn bylaw be referred to the December 8th committee of the whole meeting as the red line version for further consideration.
Okay, so we have a mover, we have script. Do we have a second? Second, moved and seconded, so we'll entertain conversation around the new directive. So have we had further conversation wanted by council? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want Councillor Ireland to just explain what exactly he wants done with he seems stuck on the 3 business days, and when I'm reading it, it's up to, we'll have up to 3 business days, but as the fire chief said, it likely won't take 3 business days just to remove it. But it was like no inspections or like not referred to agricultural burns? Like I don't know what exactly it is you're trying to.
So I don't think it's
Would
a
you-
common thing, if I may answer the question. It's not common for agricultural burns to require an inspection by a fire chief before starting. So as long as they have the permit, they're good to go. So that's my complaint about this part of it. But we can discuss that at the committee of the whole more, as you say. Let's look at the red line version and go from there.
Any further comment? So I'll call the question, the vote on the question on the table. All those in favor of the sending it to the committee of the whole? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move on to delegations. 7.1. Merrickville Public Library 2025-2030 strategic plan that the Council of Corporation of the Village of Merrickville-Wolford received for information and delegation from Mary Kate Lappin regarding the 2025-2030 strategic plan for the Merrickville Public Library. May I have a mover, please?
Oh, I'll move it.
Oh, and a seconder, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Mary Kate.
Do I sit down or do I stand?
You can stand, you can sit, you
Whichever
can,
you're more.
whatever you're more comfortable doing.
Sitting's always good. So, okay. So Julia is here's gonna show my slides for me. So I'm here to present the library's new strategic plan. It's for 2025 to 2030. Just as a bit of context, the library had a previous strategic plan in the 2010s.
The previous board had planned to do a new strategic plan, but then pandemic happened right in the planning stages. So that didn't seem like a really good time for a community consultation. So instead, the board did sort of an informal strat plan, focusing on sort of infrastructure projects. We did a thorough weed of the collection, reevaluated a bit, upgraded the cataloging and circulation software, redid the website, and we worked on various projects related to the building, which is all very important stuff that we would need to do anyway. But the upshot of it is that we have not had a formal strategic plan, and we haven't done a community needs assessment in over 10 years. So the current board was very keen to include that piece in their strategic planning. The community has changed a lot since the last 10 years. We did a public survey, we consulted with our community partners, we talked with some key informants, so like people who were sort of representative of various groups, including non-users. And we did a community assessment, like the SWOT and the pest analysis and all that sort of thing. Particularly in our surveys and our talking to people, we were asking what they'd like to see in the library, what direction they'd like to see it to go into the future. So I should have been on slide 2 for that. So anyway, there's achieving our goals. Now on to slide 3. So our key takeaway was from community consultation was basically the community is very satisfied with the library services. 95% rated it as good or very good. They're happy with staff, the space, building, the collections, program services, which is all nice to hear. And it suggests that we don't need like a really radical change of direction. On to number 4. Areas that seem to be good to address. People are interested in more programs, sort of more things in terms of collections and some technology. Unfortunately, they're not all interested in the same things, which makes it more complicated, but we're working with that. And also communication, it seemed like making people aware of all of our library services, especially since there's a lot of new residents in the area, is important. It's difficult to get the word out, but we had a few people like asking for things we already have and stuff. So it's like clearly communication is key. So number 5. So another thing that came out of the results is that the facilities and the staff are key to the community's high satisfaction. So amongst the priorities for the board are keeping the library attractive and welcoming and managing staff transitions. The staff are hitting retirement age during the strategic plan. So that's something to take into consideration. Also, financial feasibility. The library has a reserve, but it's a limited one. The municipality has many demands. We know that we needed to prioritize an affordable strategic plan. Then we got some suggestions from people which are sort of outside of the scope of what we thought we could cope in the strategic plan, maybe for the future, but at this time. So number 6, thanks. The board has updated our mission statement. We're emphasizing connecting the community to resources, books, information, literacy, lifelong learning, and community engagement, which is very big. Our new slogan is connecting our community to the world and each other, which we like very much. Our new vision statement for 2030, we want to be a service that continues to get really high satisfaction from the community, that it still values, considers them important, that the community considers that, the council considers that, and we want to have smooth staff transitions and be sort of poised to grow with the community into the 2030s. So with this as our strategic direction, the board has set 3 strategic goals. Goal number 1, which is the next slide, is building our communication and collaboration, communication with community, improving our awareness, their awareness of what we're doing, getting their feedback on where they'd like us to go, connecting with new residents and people who are not as aware of what the library offers. Collaboration, we want to strengthen our connections with our community partners and groups and things to improve collaboration on programs and things like that. Communication with the municipality, council and staff to be more effective and to align with municipal priorities. I know you guys are doing a strategic plan of your own and we want to be, we want to mesh with that. And of course, communication and collaboration will help with goal 2, which is the next slide, which is enhancing library resources for growth. We want to expand our programs and outreach to offer more entertainment, education, opportunities for the community to engage. The collaboration will be important with that because there's limited staff, and so we need to collaborate and start to get things done. We want to update the collections, the technology, keeping step with the evolving community interests. That has a lot to do with retention, what we're keeping there. We have limited space, so you have to make everything earn its real estate, and an evaluation piece so that we can make sure that we're on the right track. So these 2 goals will work together to make the library services relevant, useful, and valued by the community, which is what we're looking for. And then goal number 3, which is the next one, which is maintaining our organizational strength. This is more of an internal priority for the board and for library staff. We want to maintain the library's interior, keep it welcoming and attractive. cooperates municipality on the exterior, implementing technology and infrastructure upgrades to maintain quality service, and successfully transitioning to new staff, and exploring funding sources for library projects and upgrades. So the next slide is that we've developed a work plan for how we're to achieve these goals. The board is committed to reviewing and updating it regularly. In conclusion, the library is not just a building and it's not just a collection, it's a service. And the library is here to add values to our residents' lives and to contribute to the municipality's goal of making Merrickville-Wolford a desirable place to live. I'm not sure what your strategic goals out of your strategic plan will be, but I'm sure that that's one of them. And next slide. The board and I, that's the board, believe that the strategic plan will guide us into meeting these goals to the end of the decade. And this is my awkward segue, on the subject of value that libraries add, if it can be to the bold one. It's not there? Yeah. Okay. Oops. Library services are, well, she's getting that. Library services are notoriously difficult to put a quantitative, like a dollar value on. The municipality knows what it spends on the library, but like what does it get back? That's sort of hard to evaluate. So the Ontario Library Service, in cooperation with a university, have developed the Valuing Ontario Libraries Toolkit, the VOLT, which puts a dollar value on the social return on investment, the sort of benefit value that is created by the money that municipality invests in their library. VOLT Toolkit has formulas to calculate all values in 7 different areas. Education, space, civic engagement, economic development, entertainment and leisure, culture and inclusion and well-being. And so the formulas are applicable across sort of all libraries, but it's done with our particular library's data, our data from 2024. We have a whole report on this. This is just the infographic version. So these numbers represent sort of the social benefit that the library is providing to the community in these 7 areas expressed as a dollar value. And since budget time is upon us, I just want to point at the one in brown there. So every dollar that the municipality puts into the library residents get $11.53 of value, social benefit, social return on that. So I feel like that's pretty good. And if you'd like to know more about the VOLT, the full report as well as this infographic are posted on our website, or you can invite me back to talk about it more, but it will take more than the 10 minutes I have. If there's any questions, I think I'm under time.
Any comments or questions from members? None? Well, Mary Kate, thank you very much
I
for
hit all
your,
my points then.
thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate the time you took.
Yes, well, thank you for having me come in and hopefully I will come by next time and tell you more about our annual report in the spring.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Call the vote, all in favor? Carried. Planning matters, request for exemption backyard hens planning option report that the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Merrickville-Wolford received for information, the planning report from Evan Sanders, planner for Fotan Planning and Design regarding the request for exemption under zoning bylaw and backyard hen bylaw at the subject property of 121 Putnam Road. Further, that council hereby approved option, and we have a few options for consideration, members. Option A, deny the request for exemption under zoning bylaw 33/2025 and backyard hen bylaw 39/2024, and direct staff to inform the resident they must bring the subject property into compliance with provisions of the bylaw. Option B, approve the request for exemption under backyard hen bylaw 39/2024 from subsection 6.8 and 6.10, and inform the resident they must submit an application to seek relief from zoning bylaw 33/2025, and further that council direct staff to consolidate the provisions of the zoning bylaw and backyard hen bylaw to remove any overlap and add a relief mechanism in the backyard hen bylaw. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
Second.
Thank you. And we have a representative here. Is Brittany here from Fotan?
Yeah.
Brittany, I would invite you to add any further comment to the discussion table, if you have. Andy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to add to the report. However, if you'd like, I can give an overview of the report, a summary.
We would appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. So we have reviewed the request from the owners at 121 Putnam Road regarding the exemption to both the backyard hen bylaw and the zoning bylaw for the keeping of chickens on the property. The exemption resulted from a notice of noncompliance issued by the village's bylaw officer. In our opinion, the establishment of chickens on the property, while predating the current 2025 zoning bylaw, does not enjoy legal nonconforming rights for this use, as the use was not permitted by the previous zoning bylaw as a result of the lot size. This now brings us to the current 2025 zoning bylaw, with relevant provisions being Section 3.4, backyard hens, and Section 3.16, agricultural use restrictions. Based on the information provided, there are multiple provisions that are not being met, namely the maximum 6 hen requirement and the rooster prohibition. While we're not yet clear if the remaining sections are being met, a more detailed review should occur through the required Planning Act process, which could be through a minor variance or a zoning bylaw amendment application, where the owners would ultimately seek relief for the specific sections of the zoning bylaw that they are not able to meet. We've also reviewed the backyard hen bylaw, which has similar exemption requests related to the keeping of a rooster and more than 6 hens. Overall, we do have concerns with the proposal due to the scale of the operations at 50 chickens on a property of approximately half a hectare, when the bylaws permit a maximum of 6 hens and no roosters. Should the owner, however, wish to pursue this further, it's our recommendation that a formal application under the Planning Act be submitted to ensure that due process is followed, which would include public consultation. Thank you for the opportunity to review, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your perspective on this. Any members from council have any questions? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, I know it came up at the committee of the whole meeting, so I don't know if it's from Fulton who would look at it or our staff. I think it was we requested what neighbors, any comments from immediate neighbors, and like that. I get, because it looks like it's been there for 3 years. So I'm just wondering if we've had any reports from it that time.
Ms. Fong, does staff have anything to
Any
add?
complaints you would have received, if there had been any, would be confidential, so.
It's not, we don't need to, but did we receive any complaints?
Had we received complaints? Yes.
Well,
So I'm assuming the complaints, the reason why bylaw was involved. Okay, correct. Any further questions? Go ahead, Councillor.
I'll add my comment, I guess. I wonder if this sort of shows when we're building that bylaw where maybe we tried to paint the whole municipality with one brush, when really if we're allowing 6 chickens to be in the village in a house, a rural property, in common sense, should be able to have more than that, because you're a bigger area, you're more space. So I wonder if this is an opportunity to look at the backyard chicken bylaw and see if we can change it so we can actually be more accommodating to people that want to live that rural lifestyle.
Any other comments, members? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, so in our zoning bylaw, 3.16 agricultural use restrictions, there is a provision for having livestock units based on the size of the property. And I wonder if it could be used to allow some number of chickens under that component of the zoning bylaw. And in the report, it's referred to, but unable to do anything with it because there's no diagram of, or, the placement of the barn, how big the yard is. So I wonder if we could look at a third option for this motion to request the owners to provide the information demonstrating how they meet 3.16, from which we could calculate the number of chickens that would be allowed on that property. And I agree with Councillor Maitland that the backyard chicken bylaw is really meant for urban use. And then this other section 3.16 is meant for rural and agricultural use. And I think we should absolutely follow the recommendation of the planner and get them separated and get rid of that overlap.
Yeah, I mean, to the point, for council's information, we often have that conversation because we need to divide, any kind of an approach because we have the urban and a large rural area. So, it's always something that we have to consider when doing these. So did you have a question?
Only I wanted a little more clarification if staff is able to provide, based on Councilor Gurl's question, the nature of the complaint, not who or anything like that. Was described what the problem is exactly. That will help us with Councilor or Deputy Mayor Barr's idea of what is reasonable for the size of the property.
So we'll let staff answer Counselor's question first, if be able to, or if not, we can.
I'm gonna defer to the bylaw enforcement, response, so.
So through your worship, I guess, the two main reasons were, the noise and the other was, the chickens not staying on their own property.
Okay, thank you. So nothing related to manure.
No.
Okay.
So could you have a clarification on the noise? Was it the roosters or just the clucking of the hens?
They did.
They didn't specify? Okay. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
So in 316, it talks about, that the barn has to comply with certain provisions. And it also has to meet and comply with the MDS. So it gets treated more like a farming operation rather than half a dozen chickens in your backyard. So maybe it needs to be beefed up. Maybe the planner should comment on whether it can be used, but it probably is going to mostly depend on the layout of the lot itself and how that free space gets interpreted.
So you're directing that question to the planner? Brittany, would you be able to answer that question for the Deputy Mayor, please?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. So we have reviewed that section of the zoning bylaw and specifically the livestock units. And based on the letter submitted by the property owner, the calculation appears to be correct in terms of the livestock units and meeting that section. And in terms of the minimum distance separation requirements, if the structures that the chickens are in are less than 10 square meters, they're also going to be exempt from the MDS requirements. So it is in likelihood that some of those provisions are being met. We don't know the exact location of the livestock structures where the chickens are being kept to know if they're going to comply with the accessory buildings and structures section as per the other provision. However, in terms of the livestock units and the MDS requirements, there is a good chance that they are being met. We'll still need to confirm those details, but at this time, based on the information provided, it's likely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. Did you have a follow-up question, Deputy Mayor?
No, not a follow-up question, just an observation that the zoning bylaw has this new provision in order to be able to accommodate exactly what Councillor Maitland talked about. How can you live a rural lifestyle without owning the 100 acres or the 5 acres? So I would like us to explore the opportunity to give this property owner the chance to implement this. I don't know what the steps would be.
So, yeah, I was just gonna ask you, what's your recommendation? So, I mean, you did mention a third option. So, clerk, is that something that we could add to this, a third option? Or would it be probably more comfortable for staff and the planner to have council entertain deferring this for further discussion and to be brought back at a future committee of a whole meeting for a deeper discussion? What's your suggestion?
If council members wish to defer it, that's an option. Deputy Mayor Barrett could also introduce a motion to amend to include an option C. I would confirm the wording before we discuss that, and I'd make sure with Brittany that would be possible. That staff be directed to request a letter from the resident to confirm how they could be compliant under section 3.1 of the zoning bylaw and work with staff to determine.
I think perhaps,
If it's-
Deputy Mayor, it might be cleaner just to defer it, because I think there's a lot of mechanisms that have to be researched here, from questions from members, like noise complaints, and then we got barns, and we've got the waste management, which that we'd have to consider, so location on the property, so on and so forth. I think there's a lot of little bits and pieces that need to be worked out, and perhaps a deferral may be an easier route rather than sitting here and trying to come up with some kind of a mechanism that's going to capture all that in a deferral, in an amendment, sorry. Councilor, go ahead.
I got two comments to make on that. I agree deferring is the right way we should go. It would also give us an opportunity to look at the backyard chicken bylaw and make it available for more rural residents, because I'm just sitting here thinking I can probably count a dozen people that will be they can't comply with it the way it is right now in the rural part of our municipality. And the second portion is, if we defer, where does this leave the Mr. Salter? Because didn't he have until today or tomorrow
I think
to comply with bylaw?
perhaps council could add an extension to that timeline as we discussed. Clerk, is that something that we would be able to do, considering that we're not probably in a position to make any kind of a decision now, because we need further information and to explore this, so that we are capturing the full concept of the rural life within the bylaws, whether we need to break them out or include them? Is that something that council could offer an extension until discussion is before council and a decision is made? So date unknown at this moment in time, is that something that we'd be able to do?
Yeah, so we can do a motion to defer, I guess, or defer to committee of the whole.
Yeah.
And Brittany did provide wording just in terms of the planning side of things, so it would be that motion be deferred to the December 8th committee of the whole meeting, and that staff be directed to review the zoning bylaw to determine if changes should be made to the hobby farm and backyard hen provisions to allow for properties outside of the settlement areas further allowances for agricultural uses. And further, that 121 Putnam Road be granted an extension pending the outcome of this review.
Perfect. I think that captures it. Exactly what we're discussing is at the table. Is everybody comfortable with that? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, just in the meantime, we don't want to ignore if the complaints are chickens are running around off the property onto other properties, and there is excessive noise with either the rooster crowing all the time, or the chickens. I don't think we should ignore that, and maybe tell staff to press on the owner to start addressing those particular issues, because the complaint is, well, first of all, the non-compliance with the bylaw, but it's also those issues that brought attention to them in the first place, and that they need to start working on that sooner than later. Because we can defer this, but those problems will continue, and those complaints will continue. And I suspect the person may not have a problem so much with the number, but with what the nuisance that it's providing them.
I'll just add a little bit of information to that too. I drive by that all day today, that particular property, and they now have the chickens all in a run. I don't know if they were in a run before this complaint, but they're in a run right now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And we got to take into consideration is the winter months, and owning chickens myself, I know that the chickens are not out and about like it would be, spring, summer, and fall. So they're pretty much confined to a run and into the chicken house itself. So I think there is a little bit of opportunity here to allow things to lie as is, and to take that recommendation put forward by the planner that the clerk had just read out. And I think we could bring it to a point where we have it scripted the way it should be. Gives us the way to do so. So, clerk.
I will just add in, just talking with Brittany, the review of the bylaw to do the December 8th committee of the whole would be a bit of a tight timeline. I did say December 8th in the original wording. If we could change that to the January committee of the whole, just to give staff time to review what's needed.
it's a little bit off topic, but we might be able to most easily use the backyard chicken bylaw if it applies only, or if it does not apply to agricultural or rural zones. And so it only applies to urban. If that makes that review easier, because it's really quite a good bylaw.
Yeah, so you're suggesting that that bylaw be distinct to urban areas only? Yeah.
And then the
So-
zoning bylaw is agricultural and rural.
Yeah.
It may be also an opportunity to have an appendix, and we could specify that way the bylaws are wrapped into a singular document, but with an appendix, stating and separating and identifying, the urban and rural area. Something that, staff could, look at and bring back for further discussion. So we are going with the recommendation to defer under all the reasons you read. Does council want it reread so that we understand, or do you please have you retain it? Would you like it reread? Okay, go ahead. Could you please reread it?
Yes, but item 8.1 be referred to the January 12th Committee of the Whole meeting, and that staff be directed to review the zoning bylaw to determine if changes should be made to the hobby farm and backyard hen provisions to allow for properties outside of the settlement areas further allowances for agricultural uses, and whether that 121 Putnam Road be granted an extension pending the outcome of this review.
Further discussion? None? So
We just need a mover and a seconder.
we're gonna move and second it?
I'll
Okay,
move.
so a mover,
I'll second her.
no further discussion, so we'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Bylaws, staff reports, public works department, departmental activity update. So the council of the corporation is, do we require the planner for anything else?
Nope.
Brittany, if you're still with us, you're welcome to stay. If not, enjoy your evening and thank you very much. We appreciate, the time today. Okay, the council of the corporation of the village of Merrickville will receive for information departmental activity update as presented. May I have a mover, please? Thank you. Seconder, please. Thank you. Does staff want to add any commentary to the file?
No, sir, no. There's a lot of activities that have been going on. Some completed as others, some get completed. The plate fills up again. Weather, obviously, as we all know, has been up and down this past month. That has created some challenges with the road upkeep, but I don't think that's happened in many surrounding municipalities as well. But if there's any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I think, council may have some questions. Go ahead.
Just one short one under landfill. Landfill survey and cell review. Maybe I didn't get that memo or I slept through that part of the meeting. I don't know what that means.
Okay, so with the previous consultant, there's a survey that happens, or we're doing it annually just to determine how much waste is left, the capacity.
Yep.
And then part of that survey as well, it's to determine what the best layout is to place waste in, so that it's going in cells, so it's more organized and efficient for, the users of the landfill as well as the operators, compactors, public works staff.
It's nothing to do with the telephone.
No,
No,
Got it.
no,
Thank you.
yeah, no cell tower required. Go ahead, councilor.
I was scanning through looking for some progress update on the rural roads upgrade work. I didn't see anything there. Do we know your thoughts about that?
Part of so the work in putting costs together for the capital budget of those specific roads. And part of that, I've gone through the geotechnical to try and determine the areas to be dug out. So the next step is to really finalize that with a third party to come up with the tenders to have those released as soon as we can.
Mhm. And is there a report due on the traffic counts as well? Or is that not part of this current?
So So the traffic counts, we did get the fall numbers in. And then there's gonna be a spring and a summer regime, so that would all be tallied up. If it was to bring it back to council every time I missed that, but I can definitely bring that. I think it's more so those three timelines, then that would come back as the annual daily traffic. So it'll be summarized for all the roads.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Council.
I would just ask if we could have that, the traffic count back before we start the budget talks. Cause it'd be nice to know what the counts are on those roads that we're talking about doing. Make sure that we're making the right decision.
Any other comments or questions? I just perhaps have a heads up for Mr. Keen. Your comment about municipalities are struggling with the roads currently. In my 18, I know this is gonna be your first winter was past, this is your second winter. In 18 winters that I've been here, I haven't seen the roads in as bad a shape this time of the year as they are now. Not a criticism, but just a heads up.
None taken.
Because typically the roads are in half decent shape over the winter period. And spring is a challenge, as you would know. But the roads in the condition they are now, and if we get our typical spring challenge, we could be going down a creek without a paddle. So just a heads up, you may need to have a plan B. So just because the conditions of the roads in the springtime, the gravel roads really break apart, especially if it's a wet season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's extremely challenging to navigate those roads. But generally the roads at this time of the year are fairly decent because of the winter months coming in and the hardening up. But right now, as you indicated, everybody's having a challenge. So I just wanted to give you a bit of a heads up. Springtime can be quite challenging during a normal period, but the way the roads are presently and the challenges that everybody is facing, not only our municipality, but others, it may be a bit of an extra challenge coming this spring. So just to give you a bit of a heads up.
I totally believe that.
Yes, it's just
The weather has as I said, created many challenges, like the whole month. Even today, we tried to grade, and it was just, it does more damage than what the positive outcome can be. Seasonal temperatures have been way above what they normally are, has created, yes, a mess, to put it lightly, of roads, and inevitably the spring will be a huge challenge for those that travel those roads.
absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to give you that heads up. So if there's no further questions, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 10.12, new roof for municipal building. The Council of Corporation of Village of Merrickville-Wolford authorized staff to proceed with option blank at the moment, as outlined in this report. May I have a mover, please? Thank you. Seconder, please. Thank you. Mr. Keen, did you want to walk us through anything on that report?
I can, yeah, just to summarize it. So there has been various leaks in the, we're mainly, well, not mainly, we're talking about the metal roof, so not the roof above us here. It's the tin roof that goes from Public Works garage over the main office area and the lunchroom, break room, chief's area, and then the fire hall as well. So there's been multiple leaks. The most recent one, we had, well, basically an emergency contractor come in really short notice to look at it, just to try and rectify it or come up with options. One of the leaks last year happened over Christmas holidays, so it was unfortunate, but we're trying to, obviously it's not fixed, right? We're just putting Band-Aids on it, so we're trying to fix that so that there's not a lot of damage. The clerk can attest to this too. The last damage or the last significant leak really caused a lot of material damage on some of the files and just, air quality, mold issues, whatnot. So, in saying all that, there's the cost that's broken down, to make it more, simpler. We put the two best options. So the insulation replacement And then options of replacing the roof, which is ridge to ridge, or the entire metal roof at this point. So that's it in a nutshell. Happy to answer any questions.
Go ahead, Councilman.
I'm surprised to hear a tin roof is leaking that badly. So is it related to the way it was installed, like the valleys are leaking, or how is it actually, what's the exact problem?
My understanding, so there's multiple renovations, let's say. There's other roofs that are underneath the roof that we see out there now. So as I believe all these other little additions or things were put onto it, that it was, tied into the existing tin roof. So, yes, it's valleys, it's flashing, it's the ridge, it's the patchwork that has a lifespan, and it's at that end of life.
All of the above.
And then just to clarify, the costs here are for a similar tin roof,
Yes, metal roof,
but ripping everything off so that there won't be any future
correct.
issues. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, okay, so let's do the job properly. Good. Any other questions?
And I guess I'm not alluding that the previous job was not done incorrectly,
No.
just that, yes, it would be taking everything off at this point.
No, and nor was I was just, when your conversation, multiple projects, lead to complications. So instead of continuing the complications by not rectifying the problem is probably not the best way to go. Rip it off and do it properly. I'm sure that the people that did the job piece by piece as things were added and subtracted did the best job that they could.
Yep.
But we're at the point where it needs to be completely rethought. Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, the roof replacement, I'm sorry if you said it, I missed it. Ridge cap to ridge cap, that's what part of this building versus the entire,
So the ridge cap to ridge cap, the diagram there, basically it's the top of the fire station. The peak of it to the peak of the public works garage, so all the tin in between. Or the other option is the far outside, including that with the far outside areas of the tin roof.
okay, what is the condition of those, that the far outside? What is the-
There's no significant evidence of leaking at this point, but again, like screws have a washer on them, so they're, if it was gonna be replaced, now would be the time to do it. It's just that it's a new roof, because it could be to save money, sure, it could be ridge to ridge, but then there could be some leaks that happen on those other sides down the road. Significant, but I mean, that's anybody's best guess, but
Do we have an age of the roof? Do we know how old the roof is? Anybody? Okay. Deputy Mayor, I know you're thinking of a question, I could see.
No, it's, I think I'd just like to voice an opinion that if we're going to do a roof, we might as well do the whole roof. To do it in pieces runs the risk of, just continuing patching. The setup costs to do a second installation down the road, we'd have to pay for that. So although it's more money now, I think in the long run, it ends up being a little cheaper.
Go ahead.
What's if we replace the whole unit, what's the anticipated lifespan of that?
metal roofs now, it's 60 years.
Yeah, 6
Around
year
there.
investment.
50.
Yeah, they're typically 50, 60 years. And there's options that you can, at some point, reseal them with the appropriate paint them, so that can even extend the life further. So it's just a matter of paying attention and doing maintenance when required. So Deputy Mayor, you're suggesting which of the options? I don't have them in front of me, so
Option one,
option one.
a total of 138,718 to be paid out of the working funds reserve. And that reserve balance right now is 1.9 million.
Yeah, and that's a complete roof replacement from hip to stern.
with insulation upgrades,
Insulation upgrades, yeah.
which that's a significant component as well, because there's the more insulation and getting more airflow movement will decrease ice damming and more leaks as well. So it's a package deal.
I would imagine with all the leaks, there's probably mold in there as well that we're not aware of. So I mean, to remediate the thing and do a completely clean job is probably the best path forward. Go ahead, Councilor.
Just looking at the amount of dollars here, was the procurement policy getting multiple quotes followed? Do we have?
I did get
multiple quotes?
multiple quotes on this to you, Chair. As mentioned, like based on that last leak, that we wanted to have someone here to look at it immediately. And they were good enough to get us quotes, and the work could happen. Like they would schedule us in December, January. Okay,
So, yeah.
to now that, so I guess to put it this way, so not knowing what those costs would have been, now we have someone out that gave us costs for it to go back and ask for quotes. Would not be recommended. The reason being is that now there's a document that shows what the price is going to be. So any contractor could come in with $500 less than what that price is. So I totally understand the whole procurement policy process. That would have delayed things, and that was what we're trying to get away from. So it
It's
wasn't.
the emergency provisions within the procurement policy that has allowed us to do this. Because it could, if you weren't here, you didn't know it was an emergency, but it was.
Yeah,
The photocopy,
yeah.
yeah, and the electrical, yeah.
Okay,
So it was more of a,
so we're complying with the law as written. So we're declaring it an emergency situation.
True, yep, correct.
Sorry,
yeah,
Council.
I just think council needs to also understand that we're providing a exemption to the procurement policy. Is that true, or is the emergency?
No, it's an emergency.
Just covers that
emergency
off.
provision.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
So we're in compliant with it.
Yeah.
So there should be no concerns. Any further comment? Everybody's comfortable with option one, or? Yes? Okay, so I'll read the motion again. That the Council of Corporation of the Village of Merrickville-Wolford authorize staff to proceed with option one as outlined in this report. We have it moved and we have it seconded. We've asked questions. I will now call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Fire Department bylaw enforcement, 10.2.1 departmental activity update. The Council Corporation of Village of Merrickville-Wolford received for information department activity update from the Fire Department bylaw enforcement as presented. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Thank you. Chief, any further additions to your report?
Through your worship, no, I don't have anything to add, just happy to clarify or answer any questions if anybody has any.
Any comments or questions from members? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Under burn permits, status says risk level 3. And then I had asked a question at another meeting about risk level 2, because I don't know what the risk levels mean. And like 1 through 10 or?
Through, worship, 1 through 5, it just classifies if there's minimal risk or, like a level 5 is a complete burn ban, level 4 is a high risk, level 3 is kind of a moderate risk, level 2 is not really any risk, and level 1 is kind of.
No, so no.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? No, I have a question, Chief, since it's Fire Department bylaw. On the bylaw side, we received a concerned complaint or concern from a resident about homes that are, for lack of a better word, abandoned. Have we done any investigation into that to verify whether or not there's activity in the homes, or are they stagnant? And because I believe some of the homes that it was referred to seem to be in a position where they could be a hazard to neighboring homes.
Through your worship, so Under our bylaw, we require a complaint to fill out a form and submit that with their issues. My assistant reached out to the person that was the complainant, but we did not receive any correspondence back from them at all. We've reached out a couple times and they haven't provided us any
Further detail?
further details at all.
Okay, and perhaps could we do it a third time just to make sure that we are showing that we're trying to have a resolution here of some sort?
Absolutely.
And there is one house in Easton's Corners that are a concern from neighbors and have been for many, many years. I'm sure you understand, you're familiar with the home that I'm talking about. 18 years I've been driving by it and it's just sitting stagnant. So is there any opportunity to engage with the owner to see if we could get some kind of understanding of what's happening with that home? Because if it does happen to get in an ignite, it could cause some damage to a neighboring home and work its way down the field to a couple other homes.
Right. So your worship, if I think I know the property you're talking about, and if it is.
It's right on the corner.
Yeah. We do have orders on it and we are working with
Okay.
the property owner to clarify a bunch of issues.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the property owner doesn't live anywhere remotely close. So there has been a bit of a challenge, but we are definitely working on that. We have a considerable time change difference, so we've been kind of working through that, but we do have orders on it. They have started to do some work, but yeah, we are definitely working on that property.
Okay, appreciate that. Just asking on behalf of the resident because they've engaged a numerous amount of times and I appreciate the due diligence that you're taking in trying to resolve the situation. Thank you.
We have reached out to that complainant as well to keep them updated as to where we are.
That's appreciated. Communication is always a good way to go. So if there's no further comments or questions, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Finance Department, 1031, utility arrears that the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Merrickville-Wolford receive information, the finance report concerning utility arrears. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded, thank you. Would you care to add any comment?
Yes, I would not recommend, going with the request to zero out his bill. It wasn't, simply a matter of $100 snowballing. For the past 3 years, the outstanding amount has not been paid in full. It appears that at one time when there was a rate change, they continued to pay the old rate. So it's been, gathering up for the last 3 years and they have been sent arrears notices each time letting them know. So that's my advice.
So I think what you're telling council is that we've done our due diligence. We've
Certainly,
offered every opportunity to the resident to
yes.
satisfy the
Yeah.
question and
Yeah.
we've had no success. Okay.
Yeah.
Any comments or questions from members?
I think
Deputy
we
Mayor?
could all express, sympathy for people that are in situations like this. But it is important that we have provided them with all of the information that they need in order to pay their bill, and bills need to be paid.
Any further comments or questions? Perhaps a question. Given the situation, is there an opportunity to work with them, perhaps if they can't pay the full amount? Is there an opportunity
We've offered.
to
We have
allow them
offered,
to,
yes.
that's already been offered? Okay, so then I withdraw my question. So what are we considering? I don't have that in front of me. That we do not,
It's just receiving for information.
we're just receiving it for information? Okay. We're not making a decision. So if there's no,
What are you wanting?
So
Go ahead.
are you wanting a decision to be made or?
Oh, well, unless council directs us to reverse the bill, then we should be
Yeah.
okay.
There's no decision
Yeah.
required if we're not going to change that.
Yeah.
We're gonna stay.
So we're receiving information and we're not, council's not giving you any indication that it wants to intervene. We're just gonna allow the process to follow through. Okay? Thank you very much for that. So if there's no further comments or questions, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And carried. Thank you. Building Department, CAO Administration. 10.5.1 Department Activity Update Clerk, that the Council Corporation of the Village of Merrickville will receive for information Department Activity Update Report from the Clerk's Department as presented. May I have a mover, please? Thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Clerk, any further comment to your report, or are you just gonna receive questions?
Just questions if there are any.
Questions? Any questions or comments from members? You're in C none, you gotta weigh with that, easy. There you go. So we'll call the vote before anybody changes their mind. All in favor, and that's carried. Thank you. Action items, resolution of support Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, that the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Merrickville-Wolford support the Township of Edwardsburg Cardinal Resolution, and a letter of support from the Township of Augusta regarding Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund, and further that this support resolution be circulated to the Premier, Minister of Infrastructure, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Minister of Finance, MPP Steve Clark, AMO, OSUM, FCM, and all municipalities in Leeds and Grenville. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move it.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
Second,
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from members? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, I just want to mention, this is actually really well written resolution, makes things really clear. The other thing I noticed, but I think we corrected it in our own resolution, they left out our own MPP from their resolution. But I think we added it in ours, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Any further comment? None. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 11.2, resolution to support St. Lawrence Region Energy Task Force of the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Merrickville-Wolford support the City of Brockville resolution and a letter of support from Township of Augusta regarding the creation of the St. Lawrence Region Key Task Force, and further that this supporting resolution be circulated to the Minister of Energy, Mines, and the Associate Minister of Energy Intensified Industries, MPP Clark, IESO, the OEB, UCLG, AMO, AMCTO, and all municipalities in Leeds and Grenville. May I have a mover, please? Thank you. Seconder, please.
second,
Thank you. Moved, seconded. Comments or questions? Call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Resolution of support electric respect pledge, that the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Merrickville-Wolford support the Township of Augusta resolution regarding the electric respect pledge, and further that this supporting resolution be circulated to AMO, Ontario Bid City, bid, it's supposed to be big. Big city mayors, FCM, and the Office of the Mayor of Burlington, MP Michael Barrett, MPP Steve Clark, and all other municipalities in Leeds and Grenville. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
second,
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from members? Call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. New business, and then we're gonna go to unopened road allowances that the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Merrickville-Wolford receive for information for the motion from Committee of a Whole directing staff to bring back a policy pertaining to unopened road allowances, and that the council receive for information the draft use of unopened road allowance policy, and further that council proceed with option to be determined. Option A, the council hereby approve and enact the use of the unopened road allowance policy as presented. Option B, that council hereby defer the draft policy to the December 8th Committee of a Whole for further discussion. May I have a mover, please? Moved and seconded. Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions from members? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, it's to me quite a lot to deal with as far as someone simply wanting permission to use a road allowance, and I think that's where this all started, an unopened road allowance. So I I'd want to defer this or refer it to the committee of the whole for further discussion and pick out the items from this draft that are really essential for the needs, and look at also what we have existing as far as policy on open roads, and put that all together into something that's complete and doesn't overcomplicate things or put too much onus on the landowner to spend money. And I think the right thing to do is let them create something that works for them. If they need to do brushing to access the property, then we need an agreement that simply says they're allowed to do that.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments or questions? Go ahead. Counselor?
I don't read, I read this as a complete, it covers all aspects and that may fall under certain aspects of it, like the whole policy, not necessarily apply, but the whole policy, I think from what I've seen in the past, this covers a lot of what our general practices have been. And the big thing with, considering with budget time, we're not in a position to make things easy for individuals, because they find it too inconvenient for them. And this policy is to protect everybody, including those individuals. And if that may be that there's an agreement that comes in for someone that works with simple brushing, I don't see how this policy necessarily blocks it. But what's in place here is not even so much, we shouldn't be incurring any costs. The municipality itself should not be incurring any costs for individual property owners who want access and want to use that individual access. That isn't in, and some of the costs may be big. But the big thing here too, which is the most important, is covering us off of liability, make like that we have no liability whatsoever, because that's where the big costs come in. And with budget coming, that should never be something that we put outside risk for anyway. And with what we're looking at in the upcoming budget, with like anything that we incurred that could incur incredible costs, we shouldn't be putting the municipality at risk for that. And like I said, I think this policy is fairly well written. But I have no issue, like if people want to discuss it a bit further. I know we just got this week for committee of the whole. I don't have an issue with deferring it there for a further discussion. But to say this puts an onerous burden on, which it sounds like there's an individual whose reason this motion here is for an individual reason. I'm not sure that's the way we should be doing motions in the first place. But like I said, the big thing here is that it protects us from liability. And I think that is something that we absolutely need to bear in mind.
Any further comments or questions? Go ahead, Councilor.
For me, I've been having a struggle with this one. I really need to know where we are at right now with our current policy and with the current landowners' rights on being able to access their land through an unmaintained road allowance. Are they currently allowed to access it at their own cost and their own risk? Or are they illegally accessing is their land actually end up being entrapped? Or that's why I need to know where we're coming from before I can support a motion to go a different
Go ahead, Deputy
direction.
Mayor.
I would also like to defer it so that we can be better educated on this motion. So if we could have someone who could kind of walk us through these different scenarios that the motion or that the policy talks about and provides that background and clarity that Councillor Maitland is asking for. I don't know if that's a lawyer or a planner or staff, but somebody who could just.
Sure. We'll find, I might reach out to the new planning firm to see if they have something that would be of help. It is a lot, it's very comprehensive. I think the question arises if they want to use it as a private entrance. I don't think the use of the actual road allowance is a huge thing, but if they need a private entrance to build on, that's where the concerns arise.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having the planners have a look at this policy, and maybe it won't be the next committee of the whole meeting, it could be after, but we'll certainly circulate it to them for input.
Yeah. I don't think there's a rush, members. I don't think there's a rush to get this done. I think it's better to take it and piece it out, and so that when we're having that conversation and bringing it to a final decision, is that we've dot our i's and crossed our t's and ensuring, because there is a lot of questions back and forth, and the CEO just mentioned private a private laneway, but I don't think the subject was ever a private laneway. It was to have access to a public road. So, you know, it would not, it would not be in anyone's interest to take a public road and make it a private road at this point in time, because then you would, members remember what Councillor Maitland just said, you know, essentially cutting off access to other pieces of property, and that's something that we would want to do. So I think that council's making a good decision here by deferring it for further discussion. So I think the appetite at the table is option B. So go ahead, council, did you have anything else that you wanted to?
Yeah, I agree. Option B is what we need to do. Just a heads up, though, that given a certain taxpayer's situation needs to be discussed in camera at some point soon. So I'll propose that for the committee of the whole December 8th.
Okay, so staff would be able to put a closed session at the end of the meeting of committee of the whole so that we can.
You have to see the situation first.
Yeah, but and I was going to suggest that we could put it at the end of a committee of the whole, and that you work with Councillor Island to understand the reason why he would do that, want to request that, sorry. Are you comfortable with that, Councillor Island? Yes. Okay. So I guess that we're going to go with option B. Do I need to read the motion? Does everybody understand where we're at?
Make sure that option B is what it says.
Yeah. That the council hereby defer the draft policy to the December 8th, what we're going to change that
To January, I think.
to January.
Or we could,
For future.
for future, well, we're gonna send it to the planning department.
Yeah.
Be kind of at their mercy till we get a response back, so. But,
Well,
with regard to the other statement, we can just work offline for that.
so why don't we just leave it at December 8th, and if staff's unable to deliver it, we can.
They're not gonna be able to deliver it.
Future. Okay, so to the council, so we're gonna change it then, so that then we're gonna have to ask for an amendment, right?
No.
We could do
Or a friendly amendment?
in favor to do a friendly amendment to change it from the December 8th committee of the whole meeting to a future committee of the whole meeting. And we'll bring it back as soon as we.
Future meeting, committee of a whole. Everyone's comfortable with that? So option B would be that the council hereby defer the draft policy to a future committee of a whole meeting for further discussion. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Announcements, statements from members. Does any member of the committee have an announcement or statement to make? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
It was too late for this evening's meeting, but we received a resolution from Stormont, Dundas SDG regarding the proposed changes to conservation authorities. I'll ask that this resolution be brought to our next meeting and that we vote on whether or not we would like to support SDG in their observations and request of the province. We maintain the conservation authorities on a watershed by watershed basis. So.
Okay, thank you for that. So that's going to be at our next committee of a whole meeting. Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, I just want to add, or that could be because the deadline for comments on the provincial page is December 22nd, which is when our next council meeting is, and that's when we would, because the committee of the whole, we don't pass the resolution, we just pass the recommendation. I would even recommend that maybe the budget meeting, we can bring this forward, a resolution forward, so we can pass it on December 8th, so we do get it on time. Or should it pass, it makes it on time for December 22nd comments on the arrow. I don't know if you're okay with that, Deputy Mayor Barr?
I'm looking at staff to see if a budget meeting can accommodate this kind of resolution.
Can we get a clarification? What's the deadline date?
So the deadline date on the ERO webpage, the Environmental Registry of Ontario webpage for us to comment to the government is December 22nd. Our next council meeting is December 22nd. And I believe the deadline's up like to 4 o'clock and our council meeting's not till 6. So for us to be able to make the deadline to have our comment on the, if that's what we wish, that's what, we would need to pass it before then.
So, or would we be able to pass that at a budget meeting or
We
Would it
can
have
pass
to
it at
be-
the committee of the whole meeting if council is all in agreement. We just make an exemption. And pass it at the committee of the whole meeting.
Sure, okay.
Yeah,
I
that
can do
works too.
Yeah, we could
Yeah.
just send a resolution saying that
Yeah.
committee of the whole supports. And it's still support in general.
Yeah,
Sure,
same.
we can do that.
Yeah, as long as council is all in agreement.
Yeah.
They could do it that way, that's.
Well, yeah, because we
Yeah.
could say that it was supported at committee of the whole and it'd be
Yeah.
ratified on the 22nd. In order to meet the deadline, we're sending it out earlier.
Yeah.
That way, if, and if all the members of the committee are in agreement, then that would be something that we could do. We could just have an amendment to our procedural bylaw stating that, we're going to make this recommendation.
We can include in the motion that we bring forward.
So that we can meet that deadline. Any other announcements or statements from members? None? We have no closed session. We don't need to resume to open, so we're going to move on to confirming bylaw 57/2025 to the Council of the Corporation of the Village of Merrickville-Wolford. Give first, second, third, final reading to bylaw 57/2025 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council for the regular meeting of November 24, 2025, and authorization be given to the mayor clerk to sign, seal, and place in the bylaw book for the municipality bylaw 57/2025. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move.
Thank you. Seconder, please.
Second.
Thank you. Call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We're gonna move on to adjournment. That the council of the corporation of the village of Merrickville-Wolford adjourn at clerk
7:26.
7:26 PM. May I have a mover, please?
I'll move.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Moved and seconded. Thank you. Call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
So.